the special meeting of the Police Commission on Monday, April 17th, 2023. Let us start with the pledge. I just had to look around and it was right in front of me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on our agenda is correspondence. Commissioner Spicer, could you please, as our clerk, read our correspondence?
I'd be happy to, yeah. April 17th, 2023, summary of letters received from resident regarding Officer Ball. Subject, one of the attendees of the Citizens Police Academy had reached out to let Officer Ball know that they would be unable to attend class due to car trouble. Officer Ball picked up this attendee and brought them to the class that night. This resident was so appreciative of how Officer Ball went out of his way to help them. Next, received from Chief of Police, Naugatuck Police Department regarding Officer Ball, K-9 Clifton. Officer Ball and K-9 Clifton assisted the Naugatuck Police Department with a community outreach program. This program strengthens ties with the public and continues to build relationships between the law enforcement and their communities. It is clear, quote, it is clear that Officer Ball's professionalism and dedication is reflective of the pride with which he serves as the K-9 handler of Clifton and as a Simsbury police officer, unquote. Next, received from Joseph Dooley regarding Officers Gronsky, Officers Ball, and K-9 Clifton. Subject, Officers Gronsky, Ball, and K-9 Clifton participated along with other local police departments in the Capital Region Blue Envelope mock traffic stop event. The Blue Envelope was created to enhance communication between a police officer and a driver with autism spectrum disorder. The purpose of the envelope is to have the driver place their insurance card, registration, and driver's license in it so they can hand it to the officer during a traffic stop. On the outside of the envelope is helpful tips and instructions for both the officer and driver on how to successfully communicate with each other. Quote, the men and women of your agencies represented you and your towns at the highest level, unquote. Next, received from Post Office Simsbury regarding Sergeant Johnson. Subject, the employees of the post office wanted to thank Sergeant Johnson for all the hard work he does and for the responding to a medical call at the post office. End of letters.
Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes for the March 13th, 2023 regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor of approving the minutes from the March 13th, 2023 regular meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the next item, Chairperson's report. That's me. I wanted to start with a budget update. On March 13th, the Board of Selectmen had the budget meeting and ranked all of their additional adds to the budget, including the positions and our position for the patrol officers / I'm having a stroke.
Sergeant.
Promotion to sergeant. It was promotion that was right there. Was ranked number 1 by all but one of the select people. But it moved forward, and on March 21st, the Board of Finance had a budget meeting, and during that time, the budget was presented again and included our position. Commissioner Long was there with me, and the public hearing portion is continued until tomorrow, 4/18. I intend to be there for a period, but I have a lot of kid activities, so if anybody else is available to attend, just so. It starts at 5:45.
Upstairs?
Yes. No, I'm sorry, it's at the library again. The public hearing.
The notice
You
should.
did?
Yeah.
Okay. I have it written down 2 different ways. I will follow up on that then and make sure, but let's assume it's really upstairs. On other issues, on April 13th, I ran into our new hire, Officer Sheehan, and he seems to be very happy. I mean, he was with his training officer, so I don't know that he'd be like, this is awful. But he said things were going well, and he was enjoying working with the force thus far. So it was kind of interesting to see him out so recently, because I know we're used to the guys having to go through the academy. So I was like, whoa, who is this guy? Like, from behind, I was trying to figure it out, because he's distinctive. But anyway, so that was nice, and he seems to be happy. That concludes my report, and I will turn it over to the chief for his.
Okay, thanks. Just a few things. For personnel, we're currently still trying to fill 2 vacancies, 1 dispatch and 1 police officer. Since the last police commission meeting, Deb Clark has joined us as the animal control officer. Chris Sheehan was hired as the police officer, and Jeremiah Kenny graduated from the police academy. Both officers Sheehan and Kenny are currently in the field training program, and they'll be there for the next few months. We are still experiencing many shift vacancies due to illness, injury, leave, and then the 1 officer vacancy, and then the 2 that are on field training. So we're still at that 20 to 30% of the workforce is not either available to work or work on a solo basis. Last week was National Public Safety Dispatcher Appreciation Week, so we put something out on social media about that, and we thank all of our dispatchers for the hard work that they do. The Special Olympics Torch Run is coming up in the first full week of June. Our particular leg, I don't know the day of that week, but it's somewhere between June 4th and June 9th, and we will let you know when that is if anybody is interested in running with us.
Did you find out how far it is?
I'd like
About
to
3 miles.
The chair to
I'm a runner now, man.
Yeah, so
I'm a real runner.
I
volunteer to drive.
There you go. Support people. I volunteer.
Drive the
the bike.
scooter that I'm on.
I volunteer to watch.
There you go.
Look at
Supporting.
You sit in the
We're all-
passenger
we're all
seat.
involved.
Fix
Correct.
yourself.
Right. Everybody has a part. We've had 11 vehicle thefts since January 1, so we've had a few in the last few weeks, so it's sort of still there. I don't want to say picking up, but definitely more than we did last year at this time, which was around 6 or 7.
Is it still trending to unlocked key?
It is. Yep, most of them still are unlocked and key fobs in the car.
Is it one specific area or is it all throughout?
It's all throughout town. Yep.
And that, the trend is also higher for the state as well, right?
Yeah, we're not alone.
Yeah.
Yep. For grants, we are seeking approval this evening at the Board of Selectmen meeting to apply for congressionally directed spending funds. If you recall, we did that 2 years ago, and we're still in the process of spending that $70,000. This time around, it's a combined $112,000. Part of that is for an upgrade to our emergency medical dispatch system. So right now, the dispatchers, and probably since 2008, have been using like flip charts for that emergency medical dispatching. And what it does is it basically provides a very efficient way to get the necessary resources and get to what the root of the issue is during that 911 call. So we were going to move over to a digital version where most people have moved in that direction. It was extremely costly around 2010, probably within the next 5 or 6 years. The cards were working for us, but we're now ready to see if we can move forward to do a digital version with the cards as our backup. So that's about $12,000. And then the additional, and most of the funds that we are requesting for, is to upgrade our access system to the entire town hall and the police department, both interior doors and exterior doors, to make it a safer place for everybody here and to protect our assets. So we'll be asking for that $112,000 tonight at their 6 o'clock meeting. And then at their next meeting, we'll be asking for approval to apply for a COPS grant for the following federal fiscal year, which is for hiring of new officers. So in anticipation of us still looking for more personnel, we'll be asking for the ability to apply for that COPS grant, which would give us about $42,000 in savings for the next 3 years of new positions.
Do you know the date of that meeting? Is that May 1st?
May 8th.
May 8th.
And the 112K
Yeah.
is, what's that money earmarked for? Like, are other entities in town lobbying for that?
No, so we're just putting in for that for the entire building here. So
Yeah.
like nobody's lobbying for that in particular, but this congressional directed spending is available to any municipality to look for. And it wasn't set at that, you can just look for whatever you may need. Just so happened to be 2 years ago, we looked for some specific things for interconnectivity to criminal justice systems, and the first round of site security enhancement here.
Yeah.
And it ended up coming to about 70,000. And so this time around, we looked at, well, what would it cost to change the access system in here to get into doors, and then also the emergency medical dispatch.
Yeah, great.
So none of that is town money.
None of that is town money. No, it's 100% funding if we are allowed to get that. The only one that will have carryover year after year is the emergency medical dispatch software, and it's roughly $3,000 that would be added then to our operational budget every year after that, which I think is a very reasonable price to go to that system. It is much more efficient than the card, and it allows for less deviation.
We saw the flip cards at the Citizens Police Academy, and I know people were like, wait, what? They were kind of shocked that we were using those. So we talked about how we were going to have, like, someone was going to have a baby and we could flip through the cards.
Yeah.
So I suspect there'll be a lot of support amongst
Yeah.
our elected officials because they got to see how the flip
Good.
card system
I've seen
works.
that in action. It works. It's efficient. It's a lot more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, my worry
Flip it back, forth.
for years has been, well, what if we have a mechanical issue? What if we have an IT issue and there's a glitch or it's buffering or whatever it may be? But everyone that we have spoken to who uses these systems says they haven't had any issues with that. So I'm very comfortable with that, and then having the cards there as a backup.
I also heard that pizza arrived for the dispatchers during dispatch week, and they really appreciated it. Just to add on to the chief's report.
Good.
Okay. Consolidated monthly report for.
Could I ask a question of the chief before we move on?
You may.
Thank you. Have we had any catalytic converter type conversions in town, besides the cars being, the entire car leaving?
Yeah.
Have we had any losses in the past?
Have you noticed any reason?
Catalytic converter.
We had a big arrest regionally.
Yeah.
That kind of
About $1 million.
it didn't stop everything,
business.
but they made a big arrest
Yeah.
regionally, and even in Hartford where it's gone down considerably.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
Okay. And the new folks
yeah.
are out on the street and doing okay, right?
The two new officers?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So they're with their field training officers, and Jeremiah Kenny is expected to complete his field training and evaluation program sometime in August, and Christian is expected sometime in July.
And how are we doing it with Deborah Clark? How are we, with the animal
Yep.
control part?
Yep. So in a very similar fashion, she has been attached to several of our officers to attend calls with her. She has a very similar training manual that we go through, so she's familiar with all of the orders, the procedures, locations in town, and there's a checkoff that has been provided to her. She has demonstrated an understanding of it.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Yep. She's very enthusiastic.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Consolidated monthly report for February. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Nothing jumped out at me, but does anything jump out at you all that we should know about?
The Part 1 juvenile offenses, are those just assaults, or what is that? From
Page 1.
Yeah, I have it. I just don't. I don't know off the top of my head
Okay.
what those.
I was just curious if
what those
that was school related or if that was
Yeah.
out in the community.
Yeah, I had that one jumped high.
Yeah. Do you recall?
I don't, we can get that answer in
Yeah.
next month. We can firm up. There's nothing, there hasn't been any rash of incidents that, and it wasn't like any big fights or anything like that that jump out. So it just kind of scattered throughout the month, so we can pull those up and see like what each of those were.
I have a random question. You know, I got upset when I found our K-9 car was not actually the K-9 car, it was the ACO vehicle. So now do we have a K-9 car because Clifton has a car, like on the miles patrolled?
Oh, on
section?
this?
Yeah.
So-
I'm just, like, how are we labeling them? Because Clifton has his own car now, right?
Yes, so we haven't normally tracked all of our vehicles on here.
Okay.
These have been vehicles that have been out there on patrol, just
Okay.
so we kind of get an idea. And it was not that long ago, I think, that we added the K-9 car on here, which is the ACO vehicle,
Yes.
because Mark was going out and doing some like animal-related patrol
Okay.
type stuff. So we don't have all of our cars on here.
Okay,
These
so
are-
that's gonna
these are-
stay.
Yeah,
as
these are all
ACO.
patrol cars.
Gotcha.
Except for that one, yeah.
Okay. And I know our overtime is still overtiming.
It is.
Any questions on the year-to-date budget information?
We're gonna be asking for any fund transfers, as we get closer to June, or are we gonna be okay with what we have here?
Well, I think we're gonna be okay. We keep looking at, obviously, the overtime, and we haven't exceeded it yet, but give it a week and we will. And we are still planning on getting to the 320 to 330,000.
Right.
As far as transfers from outside of our budget, we probably will not, because we're doing well for the full-time, only because we've had some savings and not hiring personnel. So we should make it through, in the big picture, fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you all have any questions?
I do.
No. That's correct. All right, then moving on to our next item.
About the incident statistics, or
Yeah, we did that.
we did?
Yeah. Did you not hear me? I'm
No,
sorry.
I did not hear you.
I apologize.
I had to go through the
Do you
consolidated
have any
report.
Do you have any questions on the incident reports?
Yeah, I do.
Bring it.
On the animal calls, the complaints,
Yeah.
is there any noticeable rise in that this year compared to, preceding years? Are we getting more or less or about the same? It's got, bear calls, bear property damage, bear versus animal.
Yeah, so we started breaking those out several years ago because it was,
Right.
Instead of going through each individual report to try to find out. But I don't think that there has been a marked difference
Okay.
from years past. I know last year we ended with, I think there was like 9 or so, like sort of home entries. One was a triple repeat.
That
Same
was-
house.
That was up there where the bear had to,
Yep. Yep.
Compared to what? Sorry?
the bear was put down.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I haven't seen any trend of it being more active or less active for us. Bears were animals in
Right.
general. Yeah.
It was interesting, the Simsbury Land Trust had their annual meeting, I guess, the other night, and they had the person from UConn who's in charge of their program on animal use, animal tracking, animal everything.
Yeah.
And gave a very interesting but boring talk. And the indication is that everywhere it continues to rise, the number of incidents, and it's heading east.
Yeah.
And interesting, the next morning, I looked out from my place and strutting along the sidewalk was about a 40-pound bobcat. Just walking along, looking around.
Did you say,
Hey, how you doing?
here, kitty, kitty?
Yeah.
What I wondered though, must have been 20 years ago when we had a few moose residing in the north end of town.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about them now or the last
There's one on
Last
the
week.
border.
Yeah,
Yeah,
two,
Granby.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went up to a ring camera and he kind of looked at the
Well, maybe you
camera, looked in the door, and then walked away.
Maybe you could tell me a little more about that. Is that here or?
In Granby, at the town, on the town line,
In
yeah.
Granby, yeah.
Yep.
So we haven't had any,
No, not that I'm aware of,
okay.
no.
Do you know how many they have residing there? I mean, we had.
No, I just seen one, so it wasn't any official post, it was just that people have seen a moose up by Buttles, I think Buttles Road, that area, yeah, so right at the line.
Okay, that's nearby where they were several
They were,
years ago.
yeah.
Interesting to see. I remember stopping behind another car that was stopping for no apparent reason up in that area on Hot Meadow Street, several years ago. And I saw legs through the windscreen, and
Yeah.
I said, what the, that's the tallest horse I've ever seen. It wasn't,
Yeah.
and those are scary,
Yeah.
because they can do a tune on you. So I think, if we
There's
have
two in our
anything
yard.
like that show up in town, we ought to wave the flag about that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I know there's still currently a proposed bill on the management of bears.
Doesn't seem to be going
It hasn't in the past, but.
right, yeah, mostly, certainly not the harvesting of them. That ain't gonna happen,
Yeah.
not this year anyway. That'll be fine until some kid gets killed, and then they'll be around doing all kinds of dramatic things.
Do you
Silly
think the
is.
bear calls are not rising like Mike was talking about because people are more aware? And
They don't bother calling?
I don't. I get excited and call them to my car, but that's probably not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not recommending that.
Yeah, so I think that, over the years, people have definitely become more acclimated to seeing the bears, and they don't call us every time that
Right.
they see a bear like they used to in 2008, 10, 12. Like, it was much more common for somebody to call and say, there's a bear walking through our yard. We don't mind people calling for that because we will send a cruiser over there and just kind of let the neighborhood know or try to move that bear along if we can. But I think that our numbers are not climbing for that reason. Yeah.
I just wondered if people were more like, oh.
Yeah, we probably peaked at around 600. And that's, people were reporting online to the state of Connecticut, and we were one of the top 1 or 2 reports, and, people start to get used to it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other
That's it.
questions?
Mhm.
All right. Any questions? Any questions, Fred?
No, thank you.
Okay. Next on our agenda is new business. Does anyone have any new business they would like to
Got a few things.
go for it?
Just as a citizen, I've noticed a lot more radar activity or traffic enforcement on Hartford Road.
Yeah.
Coming over Simsbury Mountain.
Yep.
At 11:30 at night when I'm trying to get home, and,
I'm glad.
and people are passing me like I'm driving in reverse.
I'm glad you're seeing that.
Thursday or Friday, coming over the mountain,
Yeah.
this car was right on my tail, and as we passed to go to the park, he goes out around me on that curve, and
Yeah.
there's one of your guys sitting there.
Good.
And got him, nailed him. I'm like, great.
Good.
And then River Road in the morning, I pass you every morning.
Yeah.
So he flipped around on somebody, which is great. It's fantastic because it's a speedway anymore.
Yeah.
Another thing, just I don't know how you guys feel about this, but Police Week is coming up in May.
Yeah.
I think it's the week of our next meeting.
What's in May? I didn't.
Police Week.
Oh, okay.
And I know that being active law enforcement and coming from the jurisdiction that sponsors Police Week in Virginia, it means a lot to the guys if people do a little extra for them. What I'm proposing is we pick a day during Police Week, and for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, set up and cook burgers, dogs, or bring in breakfast for the guys and whatever. So as they come and they go and they have a chance to eat, just something a little. I'll bring my grill and put it back, and I don't know, it's just something that you guys are interested in doing.
I know you guys have done stuff in the past.
Well, so there is a grill back there.
Right.
So that the union has purchased a grill, and it is stored back there. I don't know really what condition it is, but if you're thinking about doing something like that, you could probably use, use that grill. I think you're absolutely correct that it would be appreciated by everybody. What you want to do is obviously completely up to you guys, but some sort of a recognition of
Right.
of their service would definitely be appreciated by everybody.
If that's something you guys would want to, I can try to
Yeah,
coordinate that with you guys.
I'd be happy to participate.
Yeah.
What are the dates that you're looking at?
It's the,
13th through the 17th.
yeah, it's that whole, it's that week. It's-
15th is the actual day,
Right.
and they use a week, so,
Right. They usually have they have the blue light, the
Yeah.
ceremony on the 15th, and, it used to be Sunday to Saturday, that kind of morphed it now.
Right.
It's
Was
kinda
that the
half a
ceremony
week.
in DC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the 15th?
it's actually the vigil is on the 13th,
Okay.
Saturday night,
Right. Are there any bicyclists going down there?
yes.
They are, okay.
Why do bicyclists go?
Where's the
instead?
vigil being
Unity tour.
held?
You're-
Right
they
in front of-
Where's
ride
the
from
vigil
here.
being held?
They ride
In,
their
in
bike.
Washington
gotcha,
DC.
gotcha, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, right at the
Yeah, yeah.
memorial wall. So there is there are events planned for probably 3 days. There are some events on the Capitol lawn, and then most of the events are right around the memorial. We do have a member who's gonna join the Unity Tour and bicycle down, and meet on a certain day with other departments and other regions that are gonna come together. We will end up having a few people go
So
down in general.
do we, Simsbury PD have any planned events or?
Here, no, we
Okay.
don't, and we have not planned events
Yeah.
here.
It's interesting, I've never known about, that, and that's the kind of thing I would think if you had time to prepare it, you get like the Rotary or Civitan or other, civic organizations would love to participate in something like that if they were
Because
aware of
typically
it.
what they'll do is do a kickoff for the bikes. We did in Hartford, we
Well,
do that. We have a
okay,
big,
go ahead.
we have a big thing in Hartford where you send them off.
Mhm.
Recognition, and the families are there, and they take pictures and everything. And then when they get back in town, there's usually something that the Irish Association does something for them or whatever. Something when they come back, and then the whole department is with them. What we've done in the past, what I did down there, when I ran our association, was we had the officers that rode for somebody that are given a bracelet. Then they made up with the family, and they walked the family in, of an officer that's been killed in line of duty. What we had them do was bring that story back to the department, and we had a benefit for them or a banquet for them, and then they got up and they read, I rode for so-and-so and read what this officer did before he was killed in line of duty. So kind of a little recognition for them, because that's a heck of a ride. I mean, it's not an easy ride.
So I was confused about the bicycles, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's, but if you're interested in doing something like that, I could put that together, try to.
What were you talking about, civic organizations?
Yeah, I mean, that's really who I think would be appropriate to recognize what the department does and what the officers do. But they need time to organize that sort of thing, so that wouldn't be probably possible for this year, but maybe certainly for next year. Yeah, I think be a little proactive in letting them know about that and the opportunity that could be where they could, with their members, do something.
Is it always like the third week in May? Is it like a?
So, yeah,
Yeah.
so the Memorial Week is always May 15th is the National
Okay.
Police Memorial Recognized Day. And then that week, there's events throughout the week recognizing that. And then there's also January 9th is National Police Officers Appreciation Day. So that's like one day in January, but this is kind of a week-long thing for officers killed in line of duty as a memorial for them. It's like the national one. So it's kind of two different, I'll say events or days of recognition, I should say.
So to your point, maybe the January day would be something to have civic
Could be,
organizations.
could be.
If it's just a.
Can't do much outside that, but.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, it's one day,
Right.
but it's.
Yeah, that would
like
be
the-
something that, you
Yeah,
could sort of spread the word and let people do that.
Yeah, it's really quite an event down there. I went down 3 years in a row in early 2000s, and lucky enough to go down as part of the honor guard. And when the survivors, the families of those officers who were killed, come in on a big coach bus, and they come off, and they walk through crowds of officers and honor guards standing there at attention as they walk through, and then they have a keynote speaker talk about things, and really quite moving. And then there's other events throughout the couple days there, but.
The 100 Club here in Connecticut is
Yes.
very active in that,
Mhm.
that sort of
Yep.
thing, have a big dinner every year.
Yep. Yep. And each year, new names go on that wall, unfortunately.
This is gonna be the biggest one, because it was, last year was the
Bristol.
Bristol, so it's gonna be huge.
Yeah, a big contingent, contingent going out.
But also the most killed line of duty in decades,
Yeah.
so.
Is that was that your last new business?
That is, I'm sorry, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
I
Traffic?
think it's something we should talk about offline and
Yeah.
Yeah.
here,
Absolutely.
go forward.
Okay. If there's no,
No other new business for me.
okay. Any old business?
Not I, thank you.
Old business?
I just wanna see where we're at with the facilities report.
So, we're at a standstill. The last notes I have are that they were going to come and evaluate our physical,
Spaces.
yes, I can say presence. Clearly English is struggling today. They were gonna evaluate our space, and that was supposed to happen right around now, a little before now, and nothing has happened. I think, part of the derailment has come with the town manager not being here as frequently, and working, remotely, that I suspect that's kind of fallen to the back burner, but I would like to try to get that back on. So I will send out an email to Tom, Public Works Tom, because he was part of the facilitating crew, and see if we can get anything moving on that,
Great.
so. Cause that's the next step, we're waiting for them to evaluate our home.
Maybe in May we can get some movement.
This year?
Yeah.
I think also we gotta
May
push on
1st
that,
through May 31st.
the right sizing report, get that done. Especially at budget time. The whole excuse that was handed out a year ago to hold back on funding was, well, we gotta find out what the deal is. And now it's, I don't want it to get into well, I know what you say it is, but where is it? Where's the report? Let's see it. So, I know that there's been other things that have, intervened. And another month will be sort of busy, but, whatever we can do, we should do. Just read that up. If you could call them in or something, I'd be happy to meet with them, I'm sure you would, just to say, hey, come on. So, anybody who's negatively minded to start with can't say, well, you're hiding the report because it doesn't say what you thought it was gonna say, and,
Right.
all that crud. We don't need to go through that again. Well, if we don't have to. That's it.
Any other old business?
I have no other old or new business. Thank
Any
you.
old business, gentlemen? Alright.
When is our next meeting?
Our next meeting is May 8th at 5 p.m.
You know where it's gonna be?
It's going to be in the Board of Ed conference room.
Thank you.
Well, in that case, I will move on to our final item, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to move that we adjourn at 5:35.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We adjourn at 5:35 p.m.
Thank you.